To unpack this complicated Syrian arena, I'm joined by Lieutenant Colonel in Reserves Eyal, founder and commander of the Good Neighbor Project, which was an operational unit under the IDF Northern Command whose function was managing humanitarian assistance to Syrian civilian victims of the civil war. So Eyal, you have seen the devastation this type of uprising and civil war can bring. We're only 1 week into this rebel offensive, and now Iranian-backed Iraqi militias, they're heading in to help Syrian army. So I know this is a big question, but in your opinion, how do you expect this to play out?
Good evening. Very important days. I think that the biggest attack of the rebels since 2016, and on one of the most important symbols of this revolution, the city of Aleppo, and they succeeded to conquer it. They made a huge surprise to the Syrian army. They took advantage of the lake of Hezbollah, which sent his soldiers back to Lebanon, the Shiite militias, and they succeeded to defeat the weak Syrian army. They continued to move to the south and even took advantage on the strategic road of M5, which is the road from Aleppo towards Hama, Homs, till Damascus. And it was a huge surprise. And of course, it shakes Syria. And we now see the other forces, which is trying to activate and to maneuver it to their interest. Of course, there is Iran. Iran is very afraid from the falling down of Syria. It's an ally, Shiite ally, and Syria is a very important player in what we can call the Shiite axis. As you know, it's not a secret. The Aleppo airport that has been conquered by the rebels is used to send ammunition from Iran towards this airport, and from it will cross to Lebanon. Falling of Syria is a huge damage for the Iranian vision of how to come closer to Israel. On the other hand, or with them, we have the Russians, which also support the Assad regime and also has been hitted, and their popularity and their name in the Middle East. And you know, in the Middle East, it's very important how your name is, how you are represented in. The Russians now is presented to be weak, and they will not be quiet with that, with the falling of their interest. And we have Turkey on the other hand, which support the rebels for its own mission. You spoke about the Kurdish. The Turkish government have its own interest on the northern part of Syria, who is paying the price. Most of it is, of course, the Syrian civilians. Now we're seeing these clashes between three huge countries playing on the ground of Syria, and we didn't even speak about what is going on from the south, whether the south will wake up or not. Until now, we didn't see the Syrian rebels groups from the south is fighting against the Assad regime. However, it's still a huge move for the rebels from the north. They succeeded to conquer a huge place. You can see that they released the city of Aleppo. We see them, civilians coming back to their homes after 8 years that they has been went away, forced to run away, to immigrate from the towns. So it's a big issue now in the Middle East, and days will tell how it's going to continue.
Well, and Eyal, you're saying this is mainly happening in northern Syria, and this is also in part due to Israel's efforts weakening Hezbollah. But I'm curious if this is actually a good thing for Israel, because even though these rebels are overthrowing the Syrian army, which is backed by Iran, we're still talking about jihadist rebels right now taking over. And so what would Israel want to be the outcome of this, and how could they benefit or not so much benefit?
So in my opinion, of course, I'm not a representative of the government of Israel. However, we have to understand, yes, those are jihadists. They are not big fans of the state of Israel, for sure. Although they're trying to send some messages during the last days that we became a little bit more moderate and we are not Al-Qaeda. Well, I can doubt on that. However, from the point of Israel, the head of the snake and the most powerful enemy is Iran. Hayat Tahrir Hashem didn't call to destroy the state of Israel and didn't say that they erase Israel from the map. Iran said so a couple of times. So as an Israeli, in my opinion, of course, Iran is a bigger threat. And with this vision, in my opinion, any step that make the Iranian regime and the Iranian influence in the Middle East weaker, and this is exactly what is going on. We saw the damage that has been caused to Hezbollah, to Hamas, to the Houthis, the proxies of Iran, and now what is going on in Syria itself. It make Iran to look a little bit weaker. And in my opinion, it is more important for Israel if, and I doubt that the rebels will be able to continue and, let's say, to conquer Syria like it was back in 2012. I don't see that they have enough power. They do not have enough ability to supply their forces if they are going and continue to move to the south. So I doubt if it can be like a revolution again. However, anything that make Iran to be weaker in the Middle East, it is important for the safety of Israel and even more important for the stability of the Middle East itself.
Oh, there's certainly a lot happening in this ever-changing and complicated arena happening in Syria right now. Eyal Dror, thank you for giving us a little bit of insight into what's happening.